gone without warning. All the best players have gone, that's all known. He's getting sacked in
Hello,
the
everyone,
morning.
and welcome to Sacked in the Morning, the football podcast that can't seem to get its full squad fit in time. My name is Richard. I am your host each and every week. This week, I am joined by Newbie. Introduce yourself again for us, please.
My name is Lee, and I am a Brighton fan.
Yes, as you can see by the shirt, if you are watching the video online. He's the only one who turned up in a football kit for a football podcast. We should be ashamed of ourselves, shouldn't we?
Shameful.
Yeah, it is pretty appalling, And
Well, you know, prerequisites.
you may have heard him briefly there. I'm also joined by Thelan. How are you, Thelan?
Yeah, not bad. Not too bad.
Welcome back. Had a brief little time off last episode, didn't you? So,
Oh, I did.
did you enjoy your little holiday?
I was probably at work tonight.
I think
I
you were.
think probably, yeah. I was. Yeah. Don't know, definitely not. It's not
You're
really a
at
holiday, is it?
you're at your not real job. I mean, this is your real job here, isn't it? You know, your football
Oh, 100%.
insights.
His pretend other job that he goes to.
Exactly, yeah, the one that pays the bills. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
You should be devoted
That
to me
one.
24/7, damn it. But yeah, no Tom. First episode without Tom.
I was going to say, if anyone should be getting grief for not being here right now, it's Tom.
Oh,
You know, he has let the side down.
He
let
has.
the
First
side
time he's not been here. He's I don't know what the
Well, we
excuse
recorded
is
one,
either.
just me and you.
Or Sacked in the Morning. Oh yeah, that was the mini-sode, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
it was,
that
yeah,
one.
the mini-side.
I mean, you only want a
Good point.
mini-sode with feeling anyway, if it's just two of you,
Exactly.
so.
Just can't spend that long with him. It does your head
No.
in, doesn't it? You know.
God, no.
Oh God. Well, with
That's
that being said, I guess.
Should take more
Feeling.
holidays, apparently.
Yeah, you should have. Apparently, you got something you want to say as well. Ugh.
Oh,
God.
dude, I know. I'm so sorry, guys, but you know, there's just something I just need to talk.
Oh, go on then.
I do. Are you gonna let me? Oh, I suppose you have to read it. You haven't got much choice.
Suppose, yeah. I mean, I could just cut to Lee and just, you know, to hell with you, but you know.
But yeah.
You're going to talk at some point and then I have to edit it all out anyway. So I might as well just let you go.
Just bite the bullet and just be done with it. Yeah.
Yeah, just get it
Yeah.
over and done with.
I
You
mean,
know? It's like,
it would be less work for you.
yeah, it would. It's like ripping off a plaster, isn't it? You just gotta do it.
Yeah. Just quick, painless, just be out of the
So
way.
go on then. Get going.
Sorry. Thank you. Yeah, it was here like a couple of weeks into the season. Had the Women's World Cup, and I don't know about anybody else, but the standard of refereeing just seems to get continuously worse and worse and worse.
Someone's been reading my Discord chats.
Well, if you read the WhatsApp chat that me and Lee have, it will just literally be refereeing decisions just constantly through the weekend. It's got to the point where they're supposed to be professional referees, and I don't know what they do half the time because they don't seem to understand laws of the game. You don't know. Handball now is like a 50-50. It's what you see given one week is not given another week, will be given the next week, and there's just absolutely no consistency. There is bizarre decision making. VAR seems to have made it worse. I know we've touched on this a couple of times, and I know you're not a big proponent of that.
Everyone
VAR.
knows how I feel about VAR. Oh my God.
But it feels like it's just made refereeing worse. That nobody seems to want to make the decision anymore. You see refereeing in internationals where as soon as there's a decision to make, they send the referee to the monitor, and you pretty much know once a referee goes to the monitor, whatever decision they didn't give was about to be given. But watching the Premier League or the Premier League and other bits and pieces is they don't seem to send the referee to the monitor. The VAR person makes a decision for the referee on the pitch.
I've seen the ref
Which
go to
just-
the monitor a couple of times, and then, but it's like you said, as soon as they go to the monitor, you're like, well, this is being overturned.
Yeah.
It shows how bad it is because after the first weekend of the Premier League, there was a referee team that was suspended the next week in the
And
the Wolves Man United game,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then that referee team was suspended for the week after.
How did the referee on the field miss it? Because it was clear as day. Two, how did an assistant referee who looks across the goal line not give it? And then how did a VAR guy think, having watched the replay probably about 6 times, either A, not give the penalty, or B, not tell the referee to go to the monitor and review it? Because 99.99999 recurring times, that is a penalty. That is literally, if you went to the rulebook and looked up a definition of a foul, that's the definition of a foul.
Well, the reason you say 99.9999 recurring is because this is the one time it wasn't a penalty, and that's skewed up the whole 100% that's a penalty. That was assault. That wasn't just a penalty. He should have been arrested for that challenge. That was
That's where I think if you look at it, was VAR been in the Premier League now 2 seasons, 3 seasons? Is it
3
I
seasons,
think,
I
isn't
think.
it? 3.
Three
Yeah.
seasons?
I think 3.
I still think that before the goal line technology, great, yeah, should happen anyway, but I don't feel like they researched enough and gave the refs and their teams enough training in VAR because it happens so much. You sit there and it is shocking some of the decisions they make, and you can see it's a handball, it's a penalty, it's a free kick. They just don't do it.
I mean,
Surely,
sorry, go on.
if a referee's got to look at, if the VAR official, like the Women's World Cup final with this penalty that was given to Spain, if you have to spend 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes reviewing a decision,
You
then
don't give
surely
it.
that's not clear and obvious. Clear and obvious should be, you should be able to look at it and go, yeah, he's got that wrong.
Well, this
That's
is
a
the
clear and
one
obvious
thing.
error.
This is the one thing that really annoys me with regards to this is that clear and obvious is a subjective term. You can't make that a quantifiable thing. So that should never be in the discussion anyway. You shouldn't turn around and say it has to be a clear and obvious, because I might look at it and go, that is a clearly obvious decision that he's got wrong there.
Yeah.
Whereas the next VAR person might turn around and go, I'm not so sure that I would give that either. So clear and obvious should not be a discussion in it at all whatsoever, because it is not a quantifiable term. I hate that term. I hate it with a passion. I mean, I'm not going to get too into the weeds because we did a whole episode on VAR. You can go back and listen to that episode. I will link it in the description. And if you're watching on the YouTube, it should be linked here right now, I think.
Now decide if you're a top left.
Kind of this spot here, somewhere like that. But I still think it's not necessarily the case that they haven't trained the officials properly. I think that what it is that football seems to have this weird special place in its mind where it thinks, well, we need our own special football rules because football isn't like other sports. And they just tried to make it as different as they possibly could. And it's just made it stupid and not consistent. Whereas if you look at something like cricket or rugby or tennis, they all have pretty much similar kind of levels of, well, this is what we go to the box for. If you want to challenge it, you can challenge it. Other than that, we're going to let the game go. Whereas football was like, no, we need to do something completely different because football's nothing like those other. Football is nothing like rugby. I don't know what you're talking about. So we need these special rules, and it's just and then they just shot themselves in the foot. And rather than admitting, yeah, we really cocked up, we need to overhaul VAR entirely, they just keep doubling down on it and going, well, let's just make more rules on top of this stupid rule to make this stupid rule a little less stupid. Oh, but wait, now we've made it more stupid. Well, let's make some more rules that contravene that rule that then helps with that rule. And it's just a web of really stupid rules and everything now.
I think they've sorted out the offsides. The offsides do seem to be getting
Have they?
a lot. quicker.
But the problem is that we're still in the same situation where you're going to have a decision at some point this season where it's minuscule. It hasn't happened yet.
Oh, 100%.
But it will, and then it'll be like, well, we don't know what we're doing again, and it's going to take 10 minutes to try and figure it out, you know? So I don't think they have cleared it up. I think that that it's just waiting for it to happen.
Well, based on what they used at the Women's World Cup,
Yeah.
it looks a lot clearer. It looks a lot quicker. Having watched some of those games, the offsides was pretty concise. You weren't waiting around for 2, 3, 4 minutes. It was yes, no, within about 30 seconds.
But was there any
definitely a
that
lot
were
clearer.
like so tight that you're like, I just could not pull that either way?
Yeah, there was. I think there was one or two that
because I
you were
didn't
looking at,
actually
like,
see
fingertips.
pretty much any of the Women's World Cup, and that's not because I'm against women's football. It's just because it was in Australia and I was in bed.
I sat and watched the game, and the quality of refereeing was some of the decisions she made was shocking. The penalty, you can sort of see why she gave it.
But if it
'Cause
takes
her-
5 minutes, it's not. It's at that point you have to say enough's enough, because if
Yeah,
you have
it
5
was
minutes to
still-
review something, you can't pinpoint an error.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I wish you didn't give. I'm an England fan. You don't want anything against the team that you're following, but you can sort of see why she took so long to look at it, because of where the hand was, the height, everything like that. But she took. I think she took too long. When you could see she had the team talking in her ear while looking at the screen. So yeah, but it's tough. It's still hard.
The thing
But
that
then
I
you get the
want to
Cristiano
question,
Romero one against United on Saturday, which was pretty much the arms were in a similar position to the one that was given against England, and that wasn't given. So there's
United.
no, it was against Spurs. It was the handball was against Romero. It wasn't given.
I saw Man U fans going on about that after Bruno Fernandes demanded an apology. Because the Wolves team got an apology, so we demanded an apology, and so many Man U fans were like, right on, and I'm like, no, those two are not equatable at all. They are not. One is very much debatable and subject to the rule, interpretations. One was a crime. So, it's like...
Yeah.
He basically did everything shy of taking his wallet from him, And the other one is like, oh, my hand was in a weird position. It's like, those are not the same thing, man. Bruno Fernandes is for lack of a better term, sorry.
I do think sometimes, though, when you look at some players and they're defending, they jump or they're that. Some players, they had their hand up there or there, and it's like, why are you jumping like that? You wouldn't normally jump that, or you wouldn't normally tackle or slide on the floor like that. So what are you trying to achieve by doing that?
Even things like that. There was one in the Newcastle Villa game where I think the guy went for a header and his hand's like there somewhere, but the referee on the pitch didn't give it, and he could see it. And he could clearly see it, because when they showed the replay from looking down the pitch, the referee's looking right at it, but the referee didn't give it because he almost wants VAR. He almost wants he's looking for an excuse.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that they're kind of trying to pass the buck a little bit now.
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm going to let VAR decide whether I'm going to give that or I'm not going to make the decision on the field because I don't want to get the grease. So I'm going to let the team behind me do it. And then if it's given, it's their problem. I'm only doing what I'm told.
Yeah.
And it seems like so many referees are like that now. They don't want to make the decision. It could have been the same for the Onana one. The referee on the pitch has gone, I'm at Old Trafford. I'm not going to give that. I'm going to let somebody else take.
And VAR said it was fine because it wasn't a clear and obvious error.
Yeah.
He nearly killed the man, but no.
When he nearly took the head. But it feels like referees are doing that. They're almost looking for an out or an excuse to not give the decision.
I would totally agree with that. So I want to touch upon quickly with the whole jumping thing. So I think that comes from the potential softening of the game as well, where players are now worried. So usually when we played, I don't know about you guys, but when I went up for a header, I would put my arm like this. to
Yeah.
when
try
I went up
and,
as a,
you know.
yeah.
Now, the problem is now I'm going to get called for an elbow if I do that, and I'm going to get a red card. So now I think the whole stretching of the arm is to try and avoid the whole, I'm not elbowing him, my arm is up here. See, I'm challenging, because I've got to get my arms up to jump anyway, because you need to hoof yourself, don't you?
Yeah.
But I think that with the whole,
Good choice of words.
well, you do,
Good to both.
you know, but I reckon
Sorry.
that with the whole elbowing culture now, that anytime someone's arm touches someone's head, that's a red card because you've killed him. Look at him. He is dead. That I think that that's where that comes from. I mean, I might be wrong. I don't know. But to me, I've seen a lot more of that since we get given red cards for what I would deem a fair challenge at the end of the day. I'm not going for you. I'm trying to win the ball. It just so happens my arm is kind of attached to me. And I don't know why, but I can't defy the laws of physics. I mean, if you could coach me how to do that.
You've not tried hard enough, Richard. You need to try harder then, clearly.
I need better coaches to teach me how to phase through objects, you know, so that way I don't end up hurting people. But this is my whole argument of like the softening of football. I mean, McAllister's red card at the weekend. I mean,
it was it's been overturned.
It got overturned.
But again, it goes down to that. But the thing is, if panel of referees, when the appeal goes through, have overturned that, again, why do they not see that at the time on the pitch? Because it wasn't the referee gave the yellow card and VAR upgraded it to a red card, I think, if memory serves. But the thing is, if the panel can see that it wasn't a red card offence, how does the referee, if the VAR's looked at that, not see that that's not a red card offence?
I mean, this is what I was saying, that I think that if they're going to be stubborn and just keep banging on with this current version of VAR, and they're not going to strip it all back and just rehaul it completely, I think it's time to start introducing ex-players into the VAR room, because Formula One did that with ex-drivers in the stewards room when they were having loads of problems with stewards, saying you don't really understand the ins and outs of what's going on here. So I would say introduce players into that situation, because they'd be able to say, you know, a player will give you a fairer assessment, I think, than a ref.
It also shows to intent, because referees don't always read the intent of a challenge.
Yeah.
You know, you know if someone's gone in to hurt somebody. Reminds me of the Son red card from a few years ago against the Everton player that snapped his leg. And he was given a straight red card.
Well, he wasn't, though. He was given a yellow, first of all.
And then VAR
and then once they
saw
what had happened, they were like, actually, no, that's a red, yeah. The same thing happened with Marcelo a few weeks ago. He, had control of the ball. He did, a Maradona turn on the ball. He put his foot out to stable himself on his standing foot so that he could then go off again with his right foot. And some player has come sliding in the meantime. Had his foot already been planted, that would have been a horrendous tackle on Marcelo. Horrible. Yeah. And that player would have got the red card. But because of the timings, it worked out that the player's leg was underneath Marcelo's planting foot.
Yeah,
and he ended up breaking his leg. Yeah. And Marcelo got a red card for it, straight red. And I was like, I mean, I feel horrible. I feel horrible for the guy, but that wasn't even a foul, let alone a red card. I don't know. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like they don't even know what sport they're refereeing anymore.
What do you make of these yellow cards for time wasting?
Yeah.
Because I was reading earlier, there's been 14 yellow cards in the first 2 weeks of the season for time wasting.
That'll die off by December anyway,
Yeah.
I think. They always try and clamp down on something new at the beginning of the season and from now on, a maximum of 2 people in the technical area or you're going to get booked. And then that died off within a few weeks. And, it's I mean, I get why you want to try and stop the time wasting, but I mean, you do that time waste, and then you go like to VAR for like 15 minutes, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
what difference does it make? Is it really made that big a difference? Just add time on, which is what I thought that they were doing. But then I don't know how long this is going to last as well, because eventually you're going to get managers complaining about that, saying, you're making us play an extra half an hour during the game. My players are going to get injured. You know, you're risking injury of players here because you're making them play longer than they need to.
Well, obviously, they
it will
tried it
die off.
during the Men's World Cup, and throughout the first, I think, 3 weeks of the group games, we were having 100-minute matches, and then as you get through to the last round of group games, it just kind of died out. It was like it was almost kind of forgotten about.
But I mean, in a tournament, I get that because it's 4 weeks max. But across a 38-week, 50-odd week season, you know, it's like you can't do that. You can't be having 110-minute games every week, you know, like especially if you're like playing EFL, like championship teams play twice a week. You're going to expect them to do 200-minute matches a week. That's, you know, managers are going to complain about that.
Well, you think if the game clocks 100 minutes with the injury time in the second half, let alone what the time is actually clocked in at the end of the first half, you are, as you say, you're getting closer to 110, 115 if you've got 10 minutes at the end of each half.
Yeah,
it's just a bit too extreme. Again, when you're talking about having ex-players in the VAR room, maybe you should involve ex-players with the PGMO and actually when you're going to review rules in the off-season, in pre-season, and just say, look, what's your opinion on X, Y, Z? How can we stop A, B, and C, for example, and start actually trying to work with the clubs or ex-players rather than just blanket going, no more time wasting, you will be booked, and then you get bookings all over the bloody place, and you know, players are going to get suspended, and you get really silly red cards because it's 2 bookings.
But if you're going to do that, you've got to pick the right ex-players to do it. So don't have your Gary Nevilles or your Jamie Carragher's that just never agree with referees anyway. You need ones that aren't in the spotlight.
But my issue, my thing would be, is why even book people for time wasting? I mean,
taking the ball away, I get.
Yeah, but
they
again,
just put the ball in the stands.
But again, you can just turn around and go, waste as much time as you want. I'm just going to add it on. I don't care. You know, you're punishing yourself, so you know.
But then they kick the ball away, time wasting. But then, could you look at it and go, when they got the ball and they just stay in the corner for the last 5 minutes of a match? You could say that's wasting time because all they're doing is standing there covering the ball. You're not actually really seeing any football being played.
No, their argument will be the ball's on the pitch, so technically it's in play. But that is,
I also think in a system where you have so many match balls around, kicking a ball away doesn't really make a difference anymore because it's like, well, there's one right there, so you can just chuck me another one. I've got one. It's fine. You know, you could have kicked that one out of the stadium. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the problem is as well is that you have situations, genuine situations. Like I can't remember who it was now, but like the stadium was so loud that I couldn't even hear the whistle on the telly, let alone the person in the stadium. And they got booked for time wasting because they carried on playing and they took a shot or something like that.
Yeah.
After the whistle had gone, and then he got booked for it. And he's like, I can't hear you, like you know. So, like, situations like that is like, well, that's why I'd be like, well, do you even need bookings for time wasting anymore? It's not, it's like, it's the whole reason why they got rid of away goals. Because you don't really need away goals anymore. No. It's not like it was in the 50s and the 60s where you're going to another country and you might not get the rub of it because the referee might be a little bit communist-y, let's say, you know? And if you're playing someone like in the USSR, they might be like, well, I'm from Belarus, but, you know, I'm not going to give a penalty to the English team, am I? You know? So I get that, but again, it's just outdated. It's like how I think the offside rule needs to evolve now, you know? Because, like, being offside by a toe is not the whole reason that rule was brought in. It was brought in to stop people just sitting on your goalkeeper.
The 18-yard box.
Yeah, that was what that rule was brought in for.
It was to combat goal hanging.
Yeah,
it was just a combat goal hanging. That was literally it. And now it's taken to the nth degree, where if you've got a fingernail or a toe, or you're offside.
You've got an elbow or a toe or a thumb, and it's over the red line. It's like,
because that does not give
it's
you a
not
competitive
interfering.
advantage.
which is exactly what I said in my VAR show, that it needs to evolve, it needs to change. Now, that if any part of your body is onside, then, you know, you should be onside, I think, you know, because if we're both running in the same direction, but I happen to be a little bit faster than you, is that my fault? It's not. I'm not sitting on the edge of your 18-yard box just picking up balls that are punted long to me that I just go, ha, cheers, turn around and then score. It's just that I just happen to be faster than you, and now I'm being penalised for that. You know, rules need to evolve, and that's one rule that needs to evolve. And I don't think you need to book people for time wasting anymore, because we've got so many officials now that there can be someone. The fourth official's job is literally the timekeeper. The fourth official tells the referee how much time should be added on.
Yeah.
So there is literally someone timekeeping. You could say, okay, well, just add on. What was that? 2? Yeah, add on another 2 minutes. Yeah, that's fine.
Well, the referee has a second stopwatch, doesn't he, to time the time of stoppages, and he gives that figure to the fourth official, and he just totals it up as the game goes. Yeah. And then says how much there is at the end of the game. So you are just literally just stopwatch on and off. Or you go to the rule where every time the ball goes out of play, the clock stops.
Like NFL?
Yeah, rugby as well. I think when the ball's out of play, the clock stops.
Yeah.
I will have to take your word on that. I'm not up on the rules.
Yeah, it does. In rugby, when the ball goes out, they stop the clock. And they wait to back.
So if you're talking about time wasting being an issue, every time the ball is pitched, stop the clock.
Yeah.
And then the ball doesn't go live until it's back in play, whether that's from the goal kick, whether that's from the throw in, or whether that's from the corner. That's the easiest way to stop that.
But they won't do it. They'll find some really weird, strange way. Like, satellites have. We're going to put satellites up that can read your brain, and they know whether you're time wasting or not. And then 3 time wasting thoughts in a 5-minute period will equal a yellow card. And you know, like, because they just feel like they need to be special. You know, the rules that they. All right then, Lee. Your first topic. What would you like to talk about as your first foray?
I know, very very nervous and excited at the same time.
Yeah, you should be. Squeaky bum time.
Really is. We sort of had just spoke about it a little bit, but what I was going to say was mainly, do you feel that Chelsea's spending that they've done over the past 2 seasons, season and a half, is it going to come back to bite them with the amount they're bringing in, the length of the contracts? Because it's amazing. They're signing all these, these youngsters and these talented players, but it's not going to say that, they're going to produce what they've bought them in for, because some of them could be major flops and some could be major stars. Yeah, it's proven it by their first 2 games. I mean, they've got Luton Friday night. You can never say that there's not going to be an upset in the league. And Chelsea, with all this money they've spent and all these stars, and if they lose to Luton, that is already a bad season starting.
I think the amount of money they've spent in 15, 16 months is literally unprecedented.
I want to know how they are on FFP.
So this season they're okay because they have got some outgoings. So I think their net FFP this season is about 150, 100. Well, probably a bit higher now. They signed Lavia.
But
it's
that's
to do
if
with
the Saudi league didn't come in for all their players. They wouldn't have made that money.
So they've basically taken the money in real life, done what, looked at FM and gone, we can spread these payments over X number of years, which won't count towards our FFP, which is basically what they've done.
I mean, that's
transfer
what
depth-
every team does do. I mean, even the we were talking about Gareth Bale. Even that was spread over 3 years.
Yeah, 100%. But they spread a lot of those. So a lot of the transfers for last season are spread over 8 or 9. Because FIFA, we talk about rule changes within football. They changed the rules so you can only spread it over 5 years. That's it. That's the most you could spread a transfer payment over.
Yeah, they changed it
Is
now.
5 years. So that is going to eventually unwind on Chelsea, because obviously every season you go through, the amount of money that they can spend will gradually become less and less, because they've got occurring debt on that 960 million that they've outlaid in total fees. They've taken a massive gamble, because with these players on an 8-9, well, one's on almost like a 10-year contract. They are not going to be they're not going to be able to offload these players, because they put them on big money. They've got them signed for an awful long time, and there's no incentive for that player to leave.
No.
Absolutely none, because they are made for life. You know, you think an average career of a footballer is about 20 some odd years. Nearly half of their playing career is they are now
Chelsea.
Yeah, they are now set for 8 years of their life on 150, 200 grand a week, probably minimum for a lot of those players. And there's a UEFA rule coming in soon that your wage expenditure can't, I think next season is 90% of your turnover, then it goes to 80%, and then it totals out at 70%. So they are going to have to attempt to offload players at some point, which they're just not going to do, because like Mbappe didn't want to leave PSG because he didn't have to. These players, they've got no incentive to move, and they can loan as many as they like out to Salzburg, which seems to be their farm club. But then they'll just have 40 players out on loan, which they're still going to pay for, because the clubs aren't going to pay their wages, or aren't going to pay a significant proportion of their wages. So it's going to be like a really vicious cycle. And let's face it, out of every probably 10, 11 really high promising, high potential youngsters that you sign,
2 make it,
or is it maybe 2 become superstars.
Oh, and
they've signed 30. They've signed 30 some odd players over the last 18 months.
Oh, and just to correct you, Mike, their affiliate club is Strasbourg, not Salzburg.
Sorry.
Thelan Lee coming in to take over Tom's place. Tom, where are you?
I've lost my train of thought now. But yeah, they're just going to get stuck with these wages. And let's face it, their injury list is already at 10.
I know.
And they're still buying players.
They bought 2 today.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're still looking at a third. They're looking at another goalkeeper, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think they need one, to be honest with you. I don't.
Yeah, trust me, Sanchez will show his true form soon.
Kepa's gone to Real Madrid. What the hell is that all of? You got De Gea on a free, but no, we're going to bring Kepa in? What?
Mm.
Yep. To replace the man, to cover the guy that replaced him. So he replaced Courtois at Chelsea, and now he's gone to Real Madrid to replace Courtois at Real Madrid.
Again.
So, a couple of points I'm going to point out is that, first of all, I mean, dozens of these players are going to depreciate in value. Of course they are. That no one is going to pay the money for Mudryk that Chelsea did. He looks like he's just going to be a massive flop. He is, and this ties into my second point as well. He is Tongai Ndombele of Chelsea, basically, and that is what Chelsea have done. They've gone Spurs on it, just to a whole bigger extent. It's just let's just waste our money on whoever we can get. How many of those players turned out were? Pardon?
I was going to say he's more like Wilson Palacios.
Nah,
that we signed out of Gareth Bale money.
Nah, he was way better. He was way better than Ndombele. Come on, at least he tried as well. I liked Palacios.
Yeah,
he was really good on FIFA. But but that's basically what they've done. That's what we did with the Bale money. Is we just went crazy, and you'd say one player out of that was decent.
Eriksen, yeah.
But that's basically what Chelsea have done. They've just gone out and signed everyone that they can, and then just been like, well, maybe one or two.
It doesn't even look like they may have tried to sign everybody they can, but there's no logic behind who they signed.
Which is very Chelsea-esque. We've had this discussion so many times. Scattergun. That's what they do. They are basically that playing Football Manager. They're just like, oh, he wants to come. Oh, apparently it says in the news here I've been linked with this player. I'll make a bid for him then. You know, like, oh, mouse, Richard. That's basically what they've done. They've said like, oh, you know, they've read the news report that comes through and they've just gone, oh, I am linked with him. Oh, I might as well buy them.
Go and sign him.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's what happens when you have an American in charge, isn't it? Who knows nothing about football. Just like, you know.
Very true, yeah. Do you think though as well that, because I heard it today as well, they were saying that obviously Lukaku is back at Chelsea now because he's not wanted at Juventus. Inter don't want him. Thing is though, do you think Pops will try and bring him back in, or will Pops just leave him in the reserves to just wait?
I don't think he'll leave him in the reserves. I don't think he'll. I think he'll go before the end of the window. He's been linked quite heavily with us, and to be honest with you, I'd be quite happy with that signing. You know, I know Thelan has a different. Thelan probably has a different opinion on him because he said a few weeks ago that he thinks Lukaku's burnt all his bridges and he's had his chance at the Premier League now. But I'd still be all right with that if we could get him for cheap. 25, 30 mil, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, it would depend. Yeah. It would depend on the money that we pay for him because let's face it, the Richarlison experiment has failed miserably.
I'm still comfortable enough to give him more time.
No. All he did on Saturday was freaking throw his arms up and down in the air like a stroppy child.
He is not.
So that's all I saw him do.
But this
I'm
is
worse than Fernandez.
We've had this discussion before, though, is that I don't have a problem with signing Richarlison as a player, like a squad player, just not for the money he keeps going for. I don't get why people keep saying this guy's great. Spend 80 million on him. Like I don't get that.
We spent 60 million quid on him. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't understand that. But Everton spent like 50 on him, didn't they? And it's like. Yeah. And then, you know, it was like, well, what's he done at Watford that warranted that? And then we signed him for 60. It's like, well, what's he done at Everton that warranted that? It's like, and then Real Madrid will sign him for 90. You watch. And
yeah.
But I don't have a problem with him as a player. I think he works hard. I think he's got a lot of get up and go about him. But I don't see him as a number 9 centre forward.
No.
And he's not worth 60 million.
No.
But Chelsea will try and move him on because he is a high earner and it will get that off their books. And if they can get a transfer, they'll get overseas. They'll probably try and get 60 mil for him. So that's 60 mil plus his wages off the book.
Do you know, I wouldn't even pay 60 mil for him now, not after.
No, they'll be banking on a Saudi club to pay 60 mil for him. That's what they'll be banking on.
Not even the Saudi clubs want him, and that's saying something because they'll take anyone.
But they'll either try and move him on, or they'll pay out, or they'll buy him out or something just to get him off the books. I can't see Lukaku being there after the transfer window.
Yeah, I think they'll probably just pay off his contract and just make him a free agent. To be honest with you,
yeah.
But contract. I don't think Poch will bring him back in.
He's not really a Poch player either, is he? To be fair, he's not. He doesn't work hard enough.
No, Poch needs players that are just going to run their asses off, doesn't he? So
yeah, Lukaku's he's not a runner. He's a target man, and he just what he wants to do just doesn't. It won't suit Poch. I don't think it's going to suit Spurs particularly. I don't think really it suits a lot of clubs now. To be fair, because most don't play with a target man.
No,
they want you to run in behind. They want you to drop deep. They want you to pick the ball up.
It's a shame because I think he's a really good player. You just need to play his style of football, which is why he was great at West Brom. You know, he was brilliant at West Brom. Everton, he was decent at. You know,
he played in a 2 at Inter Milan, and that's where he thrived.
He was awesome. Yeah.
But he can't play as a single entity up front.
No.
He needs to play off of somebody because he's that physical presence. He works in a front two.
He was failed, I think, as soon as he went. The first time he signed with Chelsea as a youngster, that's when he was failed by the club because all they do, they sign you and they loan you out for 4 or 5 seasons. And then
he should never have gone back to Chelsea. If he'd have stayed at Inter Milan, he'd be a completely different player.
But it was money. That's all he went back for. He didn't go back because of the love of the club. No
No, he went
player
back for
does
the
that.
money.
I mean, it goes to show the love of the club, and this is probably going to be a really sore spot now. But the way Harry Kane went, I had to leave Tottenham to go to a club where I'm going to win trophies. That's a bit of a
I think
kick in the teeth, isn't it? To
I think the phrase was, "I want to go to a club where I feel the pressure to win trophies every year,"
yeah,
which I thought was a really kind of
kick in the
backhanded
teeth.
statement. Really backhanded statement.
I don't begrudge players for that though. I mean, like my all-time favorite player of all time is Teddy Sheringham, and he said the exact same thing. And I think it's more against the club than anything else, because Sheringham did it. Sheringham, if you read his autobiography, he's like, I wanted to stay at Spurs. I wanted to win stuff with Spurs. I said to Alan Sugar, buy these players, sign these players. I've spoken to Rob Lee. He says he wants to come and play here. He is like setting up Les Ferdinand week in, week out at Newcastle. Get him here and we will win stuff. And Alan Sugar said, nah, I'm gonna.
Rob Lee was a player.
Yeah,
Yeah.
underrated. Yeah, but but
Yeah,
like
but there's a difference between saying he wanted to leave because he wants to win trophies, which is fine, to saying that he's gone because he wants to be under that pressure to win. I just thought the way he said it.
I think that's what he meant, but he's not the most eloquent of people, is he? Yeah, I'm not. That's not me attacking him.
It was kind of the way that he'd said it and the way that he smirked as he said it that I just didn't think was.
But all players do that at a new club. Their first interview.
You need to ingratiate yourself to the new fans, don't you? As well.
Yeah.
You know, like that's why I don't begrudge him. You know, it's like
I just thought it was a bit of a backhanded comment to say.
You got to think of it of what the atmosphere is going to be like when Bayern face Spurs in the Champions League this season. So I mean, maybe next season. Yours know what it'll be like then.
Why'd you have to do that, man? Come on, we didn't say anything bad about Brighton. Come on, man.
Please, what is there bad to say about Brighton at the moment?
You got a terrible badge.
I think it's a lie. At least it's not a dolphin. At least they change it to a seagull.
Yeah, I guess, but seagulls are. I mean, come on, man. All they do is they're the rats of the sky. They steal your chips.
So where do you think Chelsea, without going into too many spoilers for the prediction show, what do we actually think Chelsea are going to achieve in the next side?
This was my third and final.
This
was my third and final point. Is that I still think they have the right man in charge, because if anyone can get anything out of young, unproven players like that, it will be Pochettino. And I'm still going to say that I think they're going to be the closest title challengers. Mate, it's been 2 games.
It's been 2 games, but Poch will improve that squad. There's no doubt about that, because he did it at Spurs in a season where you didn't sign anyone. And was that the season where you got to Champions League?
It was final, yeah.
So it shows that what he can do with no money,
and what he did at Southampton as well, with very little resources and stuff.
It's not going to happen this season as title challengers, only because I think Man City are going to improve with the players they got rid of and the ones they're going to bring in. Arsenal, I think, have improved a little bit. I don't rate Kai Havertz, and I think Newcastle as well are going to be, and Liverpool are going to be the top 4.
No, I don't see Liverpool push. They're not as good anymore as they were. I think that they've weakened that team over the last 5 years or so. I mean, all you've got to do is look at his defence. They've had the same problem for the past 3 years now, and Klopp refuses to change his approach to it. Van Dijk's looking like a one-season wonder. He's got no one next to him that can cover for his errors. Their fullbacks, Robertson, you'd say, is okay.
And Trent's a liability.
Trent's a liability at fullback. We had this discussion last week, didn't we? Midfield is weaker than it was, and I don't think. I mean,
I think their front three is probably collectively the best in the league, but I don't think. I agree with you. I think their midfield is soft.
Their front three's weakened.
I think
Diaz brings a whole different element.
I think Diaz
coming back.
Diaz
brings a different element.
Phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. I think he's great, but Salah is starting to get on a bit now. Jota is not the out-and-out forward that Firmino was, but then I always thought that Firmino was the weakest link out of the three that they had before anyway.
I always thought Firmino was the weakest link.
But they look like a shadow of themselves without Mane in that team.
Since Mane left, it's not been the same. And signing Núñez, he just sits on the bench.
He hasn't worked. Yeah. He hasn't worked.
It hasn't worked.
But you would have thought like he'd fit in with that team perfectly. There's your big centre forward guy, and then you have your two runners either side of him. There you go. That's your team right there, isn't it? You know, you got Diaz on the left, Salah on the right, and you got your big Darwin Núñez up front. But Klopp doesn't seem to like that.
Salah's presence in that team and the way Liverpool play through Salah has had a negative effect on Núñez because
it's the Harry Kane syndrome. It's Harry Kane syndrome. It's you know, like we might be a better team now that he's gone because we're not always looking for him in our general play, and we're not looking for him to dig us out of a hole when we're screwed. You know, I definitely think he is becoming a liability in the dressing room rather than a help now. And that happens after a while. Ferguson said it. You know, eventually you need to get rid of those big players because they're going to start dragging you down like an anchor. You know, if anyone knew how to do it right.
Didn't get it.
Yeah. But that's because he wasn't really given the support, was he? That's the problem. He knew it's time to start turning this team over, but he just didn't get the players that he wanted. And the only problem I see with Chelsea is that he'll identify people, but then the owner or the director of football or whatever is going to say, here's 5 others that we got you instead. And it's like, I didn't say any of these players. I don't need any of these players. I need someone that can put the ball in the net. You know, oh, well, I got you 6 creative midfielders. That's not what I meant. Because
a lot of Chelsea's forward players are effectively attacking wingers.
Yeah,
that they're trying to play.
They don't have anyone that can just put the ball in the net, do they?
They've got no like kind of, for lack of a better phrase, centre forward. They don't have a centre forward. They've got attacking midfielders and attacking wingers that can score goals, but they don't have an actual centre forward.
Well, unless he's going to use Jackson up front as the centre forward.
But that's I think. But he's not an out centre forward
and unproven and
absolutely.
Again, he doesn't look like that guy who you know he's going to be there or thereabouts in the box. You know, he looks like the kind of guy that's going to drop out to the left to try and you know, like
they need a Drogba. That's what they are missing. The Drogba type of player that he was.
Well, that's what they thought Lukaku was going to be.
That's what they thought Lukaku was, but he's not the kind of guy that's going to get involved in the build-up, though, is he? No. He's the kind of guy that, like, find me at the end once you lot have done all your bits and pieces and I'll put the ball in the net. Which is, for me, the definition of a great centre-forward. It's like, well, you guys do all your fancy crap.
That's what you want.
Then find me at the end and I'll put the ball in the net. Done. Easy as that. It's an easy game when you play it right, isn't it? But, no, managers seem to want to just outthink themselves, you know? It's like... Just to finish off my point quickly, Liverpool, I don't think they're the same team that they once were. United are not going to push for the title.
United are a mess. They don't have a midfield right now.
I don't think Newcastle have... I don't think Newcastle have signed the types of players that are going to allow them to have a title challenge yet. I mean, this would have been the season I put them probably in the top 5 or 4. They beat me to it last season. This would have been the season I would have said, yeah, 5th, 4th, something like that. They'll probably finish. But I don't think that they're still there for a title challenge yet.
I'd agree with that. I feel like they've tried to consolidate that top 4 slot before pushing further because they wanted some Champions League money for a couple of seasons and then push that on because they still have FFP issues. To credit to them, they're actually trying to do it slowly rather than trying to go 20 steps at once.
Yeah, which I think is probably a better way of approaching it, to be honest with you, because you're gonna avoid the QPR effect in that instance, aren't you? You know, of just like, well, let's just go sign 30 players right now. All of Man City's old team, when they upgraded, we'll just sign all of their old players, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
But you avoid that, which is good. And I think that's a good way of doing it. But I don't see them as a title challenge this season, which then leaves me with Chelsea. And I think that they have a coach that can get the best out of a squad like that. I just think he needs to just settle it down first, because there's so much talk about who they're signing and how many players they're signing and how much they've spent and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, now you've got to fit these 16 players into this 11-man team, you know, and it's like...
Well, by the time they've signed these extra ones, they would have spent £1 billion in 14 months, which is, do you know what I mean?
I just think that needs to die down. Once that
you can't.
That's
not sustainable in terms of. It's not sustainable in terms of harmony. As you say, it needs to flatten out and just go with what we've got and just let him work with what we've got.
This is all based on whether the owner looks at it and thinks, "Wow, you lost 2 games in a row. Bye, Poch. You know, I'm going to sign some. I'm going to get a new manager in." Because I mean, he got rid of Tuchel for unknown reasons.
That was a weird decision.
He brought in Potter and then got rid of him before the end of the season, which I knew was coming. But I mean, he did that anyway.
We all knew it was coming.
So unless he turns around and goes, "Wow, after 3 games, we're in the relegation zone. We're in trouble here, Poch. I need to get rid of you. I need to bring someone else in," which I don't see as being completely unrealistic. And if that happens, then no, they will not be the title challenge. If they stick with Poch, I think they'll be the main challenger. I don't think they'll get close. City will run away with it this season, I think.
Yeah.
But they'll be second, third, in that kind of region, I think. Because, A, Poch is the kind of manager that could get a good performance out of a decent team. And B, it's Chelsea. They always manage to do something to pick off. So, you know.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Or they'll win a trophy, you know.
And if they, on the scenario of if they don't make the Champions League this season,
fail.
How screwed do you think they are?
Oh, well, you're going to be counting on that Champions League money, aren't you? If you're there or thereabouts, and say it comes down to last game of the season, and they fail it by a point, then they've lost a hell of a lot of money.
What's Todd Bowley's business?
The thing is, with the investor group at Chelsea, it's not just him. He's got a whole group of investors.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's about
that came in.
He leads
he's the head of the consortium that a load of people pitched in to buy Chelsea because of the cost of it.
So
he didn't have all the money to buy him.
Who's their feeder club? Did you say?
Strasbourg, who they just
bought. So is there any way that you could not say that maybe Strasbourg find themselves with an extra £90 million or something to spend, and then all of a sudden Mudryk turns up at Strasbourg, and all of a sudden Chelsea's FFP problems go away?
Well, they're looking, because now Strasbourg is going to be sort of a feeder club for
Oh,
Chelsea
yeah.
to
No,
send
I don't
their
even know. I wouldn't even say feed.
Brazilians
They're a farm club, aren't they?
and all that.
Yeah.
They're going to be
For
sending
work permits.
youngsters that
I
they've
mean, yeah,
signed to go and play.
like I said, Todd Bowley's playing Football Manager. That's what we all do in Football Manager, right? We find a club, and then all the players that we can't loan out for money, we end up just shipping over to them to go and play for that feeder club for me, please.
Go play there for
You
a
know.
season. Every club finds a way around something, and I'm sure there's already plans in place that if they don't make it, there'll be
It
something.
wouldn't. I actually envisage more of a scenario where they have a under the table deal with a Saudi club that, like they have done this season, that just come in and bought a load of their players. That it
But
wouldn't
Saudi
surprise
don't
me if
need
that's
the money.
exactly. So it's not like the Saudi teams are short of money, nor are they governed the same way as the UEFA clubs are and they are in the Premier League. So it wouldn't surprise me if there isn't some form of under the table backhanded partnership that just basically says each season we will, as a collective league, buy 4 players off you for a grand total of 150 mil, for argument's sake, to pick a figure, which just kind of just because that's what it feels like kind of happened this season. Because some of the transfers coming out of Chelsea to Saudi were just a little bit out of left field and a bit random. So it wouldn't surprise me if there is some deal like that done, just to keep players going into the Saudi league, and then Chelsea can stay on top of their FFP issue. It would not surprise me.
Do you know what annoys me most about all of this Saudi stuff? Timing. Bloody sucks, man. Always in the wrong place. Always in the right place at the wrong time, I am. So annoying.
Yeah.
God. I was there before it was cool. Bloody annoying though, man. Imagine now I was working at the club that Steven Gerrard was bloody manager of. God, I could have got in there. We both speak English. Oh yeah, you know, not many English people living around here, mate. I'm English. Want to talk to me? By the way, it'd be really cool if you could tell me a thing or two. You know, maybe introduce me to some people. You know?
Yeah.
No.
He'd be sacked soon. Give it 6 months. Steve Gerrard will be out.
Yeah, but you know, that's 6 months I could have been schmoozing and getting a bit of, you know, getting a reputation. You know, and then he'll be like, "Oh, I'm actually in Thailand now, Richard. Fancy coming out and coaching in Thailand?" And I'll be like, "Oh, Stevie, yeah, mate, yeah, I'll be there. Yeah, no worries." But no, I was there when no one was there.
There's no bitterness in that statement at all, is there?
We'll just have a moment's silence for
my
Richard's
career.
bad one.
Yeah.
Like I said, they stick with Poch. I think by the end of the season it'll be okay. If they panic and decide that this isn't working, which could happen, I mean, they've got a track record for it in the very small amount of time that they've been there already, then I think that they'll really struggle. Because who's going to go in there?
Exactly. Who even...
Nagelsmann's probably the only other person.
It's starting to turn into a Real Madrid situation.
I was about to say, but Real Madrid always get managers because it's Real Madrid. Real Madrid always get managers because it's Real Madrid. And I think we had this conversation, Rich. Chelsea will always get managers because they'll get money.
Yeah, they don't go for the football, it's money.
No.
They'll get money to spend, and they know eventually if they sign a 4-year deal at 20 million over the 4 years that they're going to get paid that regardless of whether they're there for 6 months, a year, or 4 years. So you know, in terms of that kind of choice, it makes sense both the way around. But Chelsea will always get managers.
Mancini might go.
He's on it. No, he's the manager. He's literally today the manager of the Saudi Arabian national team. Literally.
Oh, he did sign it. I heard that was a rumor, but I didn't know that it actually went.
Oh yeah, he's been. He's the new manager of the Saudi Arabian national team.
What a surprise!
See, there you go. See, now there was another one. There was 2 players that I coached that are in the Saudi national team. I could have spoken to them and said, "Look, can you get me a little discussion with Mancini? You know, like
Yeah, that deal was done about 5 p.m. today that I read on Sky Sports.
FML, my friend, FML. And now I'm stuck here doing this crap with you two pillocks, God.
I mean, I've got a bit of light to it, so you know.
If you will indulge me, gentlemen, I will move us on to the Sacked in the Morning Hall of Fame, trademark, copy mark, registered brand. This week, we are doing one of the silly ones that I came up with a few months ago when I said I couldn't think of anything and there was just a silly idea that was in my head. We are doing that one, Thelan. So today,
Oh, God.
the topic is Battle of the Hair. Afros edition. Your first choice, gentlemen. Carlos Alberto Valderrama. Palacio.
Could have called that a mile away.
Yeah, well, you know, come on. Who's he going up against, though? That's the real question. He was born on the 2nd of September 1961 in Santa Marta, Colombia. He began his playing career with Union Magdalena at the age of 20 before a stint at Millonarios. What a great name for a club. That's what they should rename Chelsea to. Billonarios. Then moving to Deportivo Cali, where he would come to the attention of European sides, being brought to France by Montpellier, where he would spend 3 seasons winning a Coupe de France. Carlos spent 1 more season in Europe before returning to the Americas and would even take part in the inaugural MLS season with Tampa Bay Mutiny. Widely considered to be one of the best South American players of his generation, Valderrama made his Colombian debut in 1985 in a 3-0 defeat to Paraguay. He would go on to become his nation's most capped player before being topped by David Ospina. He remains, however, his country's most capped outfield player with 111 caps, appearing in 3 World Cups and 5 Copa Americas. As well as the 111 caps at international level, with 11 goals, he played 672 times at club level with 63 goals, winning 2 league titles, 2 domestic cups, 1 Copa America MVP award, 2 South American Footballer of the Year awards, 4 Team of the Year inclusions, World Soccer's and FIFA 100's best footballers of all time, Golden Foot as a legend, and Colombian player of the 20th century. Some people forget just how good he was. He was very, very good. Entertaining as hell. Or will it be Sideshow Bob David Luiz Moriera Marinho, who was born on the 22nd of April 1987 in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Luiz started his youth career at Sao Paulo, but was released and joined Vitória as a defensive midfielder, but was almost released by them before being moved to centre-back and shining in that position. After signing his professional contract in 2006, it would only take 1 season before he was snapped up by Benfica in Portugal. He spent 4 seasons there, winning 1 league and 2 cup titles. And in 2011, David signed for Chelsea in a move worth €25 million. It is here he would become a household name, winning the FA Cup in his first season. Oh, and also the Champions League. Not bad for a debut season, I would say. Could he have possibly been a missing puzzle piece? He would continue to have great success at Chelsea before a world record £50 million transfer to Paris Saint-Germain in 2014, That's a world record for a defender, by the way, not like overall.
Yeah.
He would continue his run of success, winning a French treble in his first season. Indeed, he would never not win titles again at every club he would play for, winning another league title at Chelsea and cups for Arsenal and Flamengo, where he still plays to this day. Luiz has played so far, because he's still playing, 679 games, scoring 39 goals and 57 times for Brazil with 3 goals. He has won 4 league titles, 13 domestic cups, 4 continental cups, FIFA Confederations Cup, 1 Player of the Year award, Club World Cup Silver Ball, and 12 separate Dream Team entries. There you go. Now, just before you both go into, well, it's obviously him mode, because I can see which way the wind's going to blow. I was not
obvious, is
aware.
it?
It's very obvious because, you know, duh. But humour me for a moment and let me believe that it's gonna be a fair fight. You know, I did not realise how successful David Luiz actually was.
Oh, there's no denying he's a successful player. The problem is his reputation will forever be tarnished by the 2016 World Cup.
Hence why I said it was one-sided. But because that's what most people think of when they think of David Luiz, and I understand that. But when I was doing the research for it, because I was trying to find someone to go up against, and there were a few players that I was trying to decide, I wanted to put that one in because, A, they're both from South America, so I thought that made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But also, I didn't realise how successful he actually was. I mean, he was the world's most expensive defender at one point, before Van Dijk obviously came along. And, I mean, he won an FA Cup and a Champions League in his first season at Chelsea. He won a treble in France, which I guess isn't really that much of a, a challenge. But then he came back to Chelsea, won another league title, and then he won a cup with Arsenal. I mean, that's got to be pretty impressive, right? I mean,
it is. Yeah, it is with Arsenal. I've got to admit that.
Yeah. So just humour me a little bit before we make our decisions.
It's a good one, but I find it really hard because I've never been a fan of David Luiz. He's been successful and everything that he's done, especially his first season, winning a cup and winning Champions League, and then going on from there. But I don't know what it is, but I've just never really taken to him like some players. But you can't hide what he's done. That's a hell of an achievement for a playing career and to still be playing today. Yes, he's playing in Brazil, but he's still playing football. So to do that, he's had a great career and he's done well for the clubs that he's been at. But for me, I'm just not a fan of him.
Because you're racist.
He's Brazilian.
You're anti-ginger. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I do have kind of the same opinion as Lee. To be fair, he's just. I could never really see how clubs could justify spending the money that they did on him. To be the world's most expensive defender at one point is almost laughable. There is no denying that he's had a lot of success, but in big moments, in big matches, when the best players are supposed to kind of stand up and be counted, he tends to go missing a lot. That is typified by what I said earlier about the 2016 World Cup against Germany, and he was Brazilian captain at that point. He was the captain of that team. He led that team out. And I know a lot of the team was MIA, but he was very much MIA at that point, you know. And there's a reason why he is not added to those 57 caps. I don't think he's been capped by Brazil since that game. I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain that he hasn't been.
We'll have to ask Tom.
Yeah, where's Tom when you need him?
Yeah,
but
right,
for me, I just can't get past that. He's just, I've always found him a bit of a liability. And to be fair, you can't compare the hair of those two. Valderrama's hair is just legendary.
Valderrama's hair is just another level.
You know what I mean?
True.
I know you've tried to compare afros, and you've gone with the South American flavour, but come on, you're talking about hairstyles, mate. He is over and above.
If you want to compare afros, it's Fellaini, isn't it?
Fellaini, I know, but there will, trust me, there were lots that I could choose from. There will be another Afro edition, don't worry. There also needs to be a skinhead edition, so there will also be that as well, don't worry. But Fellaini will definitely get his shot within the throws. Trust me, there was a lot to choose from. I just went with this just because they were two South American players, and I thought I liked the synchronicity of that, yeah. And I agree with you. I've never rated David Luiz that highly, but going back and looking over this now, I think that a lot of the time it seems to be that perhaps he wasn't playing in systems that really suited him very well. Like, he seems to be a bit more of a libertero, the ball playing centre back, and he needs someone alongside him that can actually, do the dirty work. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the times that he was looked on as both of those roles, and I don't think he's the type of defender that can defend. And I know that sounds really stupid, but
I know what you mean.
Yeah, he's not Nemanja Vidic, Yap Stam, John Terry kind of defender.
To caveat that, he was probably around 5 years too early, maybe at peak.
Yeah.
If you want to preface that with something, the way that David Luiz played, and I will give you that, he was a very good ball playing defender. I feel like he was probably 5 years too early, maybe six.
I think that he would have been in that City team. I think he probably would have slotted into that City team.
He would suit the way that football is played now, more so with the possession from the back, building it, playing it forwards. Because I preface that to the way that obviously you watch like teams like City and Brighton, they have the ball on the centre defender and they're inviting you to press to play around that. So, and that I think would probably have suited his strengths more of what he was better at.
If he was playing now, he would definitely be a Pep player.
Yeah,
that Pep would look at and be like, yeah, that's who I want.
Yeah. So I mean, I like I said, I know exactly which way the wind was blowing. As soon as this was a choice, I knew which way the wind was blowing. But I just wanted to put a little bit more of a different view and a different, actually show that actually this was kind of a decision, I was surprised by how successful he'd been. And I genuinely think that had he played in a
back
team,
on his career and have too many regrets, is he? Outside of probably
no, but I also think the fact that his nickname is Sideshow Bob also kind of shows that he got tarnished with a brush in a few
he got a lot of stick,
and he never got rid of that again. 3 games probably define his entire career, which seems a bit sad.
When you play 670s, is obviously a bit of a microscope, but perception is 9/10 of everything, isn't it? So
this is why everyone thinks George Best is such a great player, but Anyway, yeah. So who's going in, gentlemen?
Well, I'm sorry, but it's not David Luiz.
No. Valderrama it is.
Yeah.
Carlos Valderrama, your hair is gorgeous. Plus, let's not forget he had the porn stash to go with it as well.
Yeah.
Ron Jeremy.
That was,
Just own that.
glorious looking man. Oh, just actually a really good player as well. I remember him at France '98, and he was great in that tournament.
Yeah.
He was
So
such
well
a good
done.
player.
Carlos Valderrama, a barber's nightmare, but a sacked in the morning Hall of Fame dream. That's why I'm the host, gentlemen, because I come up with stuff like that. You two couldn't be relied on for that kind of crap. Yeah, before we go, I just need to quickly thank our Patreon supporter, Cole Worley.
You remember?
Yes. I remembered last episode as well, to be fair, but you weren't here, so you wouldn't know that.
No, you were working at your fake job.
Yeah, I was.
I had to feed my kids. Oh, God.
Yeah, that, I got kids to feed.
But yes, Cole Worley, thank you. He is one of our hoi polloi, which means that he has early access, up to 2 weeks for this show and others on the network. He could have also watched this show live. He might be watching it live right now. If he is, Cole, hello. But yeah, you can watch this show live. You will also have behind the scenes access. This episode specifically has been very heavily edited. I can promise you that. You would be able to see all of it over on our Patreon. Or if you do not want to be a monthly subscriber, you can also head over to our PayPal for a one-off donation. All help is appreciated. That way, Thelan doesn't have to go to his job, and he can actually be here when
I have taken some abuse tonight.
And if you would like to abuse Thelan, you can. If you would like to abuse him, you can also be on one of our shows. If you are a hoi polloi member, you can arrange to be on the show.
Just abuse
because some people might want to abuse you. Once they see the video, they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, I definitely want to punch that face."
It's a standard thing.
Yeah, anyone that knows you wants to abuse you.
Yeah.
Love you, Thelan. Well. On that note, thank you for joining me, gentlemen.
No, thank you.
Pleasure as always, I think.
It's been surreal.
That's a word, yeah.
And thank you for listening. Until next time, take care.
Allegedly.
Not this show.
From the local rag, or hiding from the angry wags.
Hey you, did you like this? Make sure you like and subscribe. Check out our other channels. And watch our playlist. Rich T Entertainment.